Seems like only last week I was following you through its inspection door.
Oh no, here we go again.
Oh dear, there we go, cheers. You joined me taking my Porsche Cayman to Porsche Brooklands for a free checkup on a possible leaking coolant hose on the driver's right side. Now I'm hoping there's nothing there and the MOT inspector was just a little bit OTT. It was raining the day before. Did he really see coolant? Did he check the colour of the liquid, or was it water? We'll be able to tell by looking at the coolant hoses. I did order the parts to do this myself, so I got a trolley jack, a torque bar, 19mm sockets, axle stands and wheel chocks. Placed that order. Not all of the stuff has turned up, so unfortunately I haven't been able to do this checkup myself, so Porsche Brooklands have managed to fit me in quicker than I could sort this out myself, so credit to them. People ask, why do you actually pay all those Porsche prices? Well, if something goes wrong, they'll give you a free checkup, as they're doing for me. So there's a little kind of give and take where, you know, you pay a certain amount and they'll give you a little bit of time to check over your car. So it's all part of the process. Now that I've actually got the trolley jack and the axle stands, I'd like to be a little bit more hands-on with my car. Who knows, I might even try an oil change one day, but all that stuff's for another day. I haven't managed to lift the car yet. That'll be something for another video. But yeah, let's go to Porsche Brooklands now. Let's see what they have to say. So I've just dropped the car off now. Seems to be I'm a regular down here, so I've just checked in with Mike. They've checked me in, the car's just gone up on the ramp. One thing I did mention is that the actual coolant can actually crust over, just like limescale on copper pipes. What could be happening is that there could be a small weep, but it's crusted over, but it's safe for now. Coolant is actually under pressure, so he did actually say that if the hoses are about to perish, the last thing you want to do is have all your coolant gush out. They're taking the car up on the ramp now. Well, I'll show you what they say when they take the wheel off, and yeah, enjoying life and cars to the max. So you didn't have to take the wheels off, did you?
No.
Oh, brilliant.
The trays off.
Oh, right, okay.
You can actually see through here. There's actually this coolant pipe here that's leaking.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I can see that. Shine that light a little bit. There you go, there you go.
You see the drip?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So between here and here you've got something called coolant crossover pipes, which is these two here, and they cross the coolant between this radiator and the radiator on the other side. Okay. So just to give you an idea, here's some new ones.
Wow.
So this is what's behind there. You have some rubber hoses coming off your rads, which go into here, and into the alley parts here. Okay. And then these plastic parts help run the coolant back to the engine, back at the other end of the car. Yours is actually leaking here in this part. There could be two reasons for it. One could be that the plastic itself has actually started to deteriorate and warp, and that's why it could be leaking. Or it could be the rubber hose itself, because there's an O-ring and a special clip on it. So what I'd suggest on your case is we'd actually try replacing the rubber hose first on its own, because the plastic itself doesn't look in that bad a condition, and see if it stops the leak. If not, then we'd have to replace this plastic part. If we was to go to that extent, it's quite a lengthy and labour-intensive process.
You have to take the whole front bumper off and everything, don't you?
It'll be maybe not the front bumper, but it's definitely the front subframe, get down underneath the car to be able to gain access to them, because they tuck up right behind the fuel tank. Okay. So what you're suggesting is just the rubber ring part, then? Yeah. So we're going to. I suggest we do first. It's just the rubber hose that goes from the radiator into this pipe here. Okay. When we take this off, we'll check the condition of the plastic and make sure it's okay. Generally, the condition of your crossovers is actually in pretty good condition. Normally, you can tell when they're starting to wear with age, just because the plastic itself, you can see, gets deformed, but also the alley part here, this will start to corrode and split. And that's normally the indications of when you need to start thinking about having these pipes replaced. But that looks okay from what you can see on your ones here. If you say here, you can see the top of your aluminium. Your aluminium pipe is just at the top there, so just above the one that's leaking. This one here. Okay. and you can see that the aluminium around it is in perfect condition. There's no signs of corrosion and no splitting at this point. So my suggestion would be just to replace this one, or refill it full of coolant, see if it cures the leak. If it does, happy days. Less labour, less cost. If not, then we'd have to replace the plastic part.
And if I'm going to be doing, you're just doing the seal, is that what you're saying then?
We're going to do the complete rubber pipe, because on the end of this rubber pipe there's a special metal fitting which is crimped onto the end, and it's probably that part that's actually leaking as opposed to the seal itself.
There's no added economies of doing the one on top then, that pipe?
We can do the one on top at the same time, but I would suggest we try and get the bottom one fixed. And I'll try and get the top one out for you. Sometimes they can corrode in, so if you go to replace it you can cause more problems than what you did. If it's not leaking, sometimes it's specialist to leave it alone.
Oh really? Okay.
And it will be fine. To be honest, I'm quite surprised yours is leaking, because normally there's a lot more warning signs before they start to leak like this.
So this would definitely be worth getting on top of?
Yes, so this one would need to be fixed.
I haven't touched my coolant in 2 years.
Yeah, it could have only started happening in the last few weeks.
Yes.
Because of the amount you're leaking, and there wasn't hardly any indications underneath. I'm quite surprised that your MOT tester even spotted it.
Well, they did say the MOT tester was pretty anal.
Yeah, so he definitely.
I mean, that's definitely fresh. That's not even crusted over. So
no, there's barely any indication. Normally, if it's been leaking for a long time, you'll get a lot of pink staining underneath the car and around anywhere near where it's been dripping, where it's been drying. But yours is hardly any. That's why I took the tray off to have a look to see. We could just see a bit of damp, but no real staining.
So we just caught it, really. Yeah. Did you check the other side out of interest?
We can check the other side right now.
Oh, okay. There you go.
There's no signs of it leaking at the moment. Nothing there.
Oh, it's totally dried, isn't it?
Yeah, you can see how the plastic's not deformed here, and you can see how the top alley part is in pretty good condition. So there's two ways around it. Like I said, we can try just replacing the pipe, and we can also have a go at replacing the top one while we're there, just so it's done. Or option two is that we go through the complete repair and you have your crossovers replaced just for peace of mind.
So yeah, I mean, maybe when you get back into the workshop we'll go over the pricing, but I know there's a lot of labour that comes into it if you do the full job, and the parts are not actually that expensive. It's all about labour, isn't it?
No, we do replace, our parts list is slightly more expensive, but that's because we replace everything that will possibly go wrong. So when you have it done with us, you will have everything replaced in one hit.
If I do the whole thing, that is.
Yeah, so what we do is we remove this subframe here, all this part will come off, and then from here onwards would be replaced. So this is the plastic piece that I showed you on the bench. It runs along here and then tucks up here. The two aluminium pipes I showed you cross between the fuel tank here, and then this is the plastic one running on the other side and up to here. So we'd replace both rubber hoses, the aluminium, the plastic, any brackets that may be causing a problem will be replaced. And then that way it's the best cost effective way, because then you've replaced everything at once and you're not going to have to revisit it for a long time once it's been done. And that's where we are.
Brilliant. Alright, let me turn this off now. So you saw that, there's no denying that I do have a coolant leak. It literally probably started very recently, maybe within the last month. In the actual under tray there wasn't a lot of coolant that had collected. I could clearly see that pipe is a bit more than weeping. It had not crusted over. It's definitely going to need attention. The way we're going to price it up is, he said he's going to try to get me a cost for just doing that one coolant pipe at the bottom, the one with the leak. He did say when you try to remove those pipes from the aluminium connectors, he can tell if the rest of the system needs doing. I trust the guys down here. We're going to hope it's just that small one pipe at the bottom. He did say if it doesn't need doing, don't bother changing it, because sometimes removing the hoses can be quite difficult. You can cause more problems that way. He did say they haven't given me any prices yet. He said the full coolant replacement for all the hoses is really expensive, because you need a wheel alignment done after that as well, because they remove the front subframe. So there's the cost of all the taking off getting the rads off, putting the hoses on, doing the wheel alignment. I think that's not going to be cheap, my friends. So I'm going to start with just doing the one pipe at the bottom. We'll have to book that in. I'll let you know how it goes. The costs never end, but I tell you what, if you're going to drive a Cayman, you want to make sure your Cayman's in good nick. So this is where the credit card's coming out, I guess. Alright, enjoying life and cars and putting your credit limit to the max. See ya. What do you do? I guess I've got to keep on top of it. We were discussing off camera the fact that many of us, we try and get the money together to buy a Porsche Cayman. It is the best car one can get for the money, and it's quite easy to forget about the servicing costs on top of that car. It doesn't stay in the same shape forever. I've put tyres on, I've had shifter cables go. You know all the expenses I've been through. I'm sure a lot of you go through the similar expenses. I didn't buy this car to just treat it like a workhorse and to not look after it. I bought this car to cherish it. It brings me joy. I'd like to look after it as well. Should I use an independent or Porsche? To be fair, I'm going to get a few quotes from an independent garage just to benchmark Porsche. I think the price difference we're talking about would be around £200, whether it's Porsche or an independent specialist. For £200, I've got to know Mike, I've got to know all the guys at Porsche Brooklands. They know their stuff, honest guys. You know, I mean, you saw that. They took the car up on the ramp. I could see what was going on. They discussed everything with me. I love that transparency, and I've never really had that with any other garage.